we've spent a lot of time in our own mastermind talking through things and how we can together help move things to a much better place. And today our topic is 2021, the year of enthusiasm, empathy, and raising our positive vibe together. What can you do? You could start with you. I want to start with the main topic that Juliane, Simon, and I have been talking about over the last weeks, longer than weeks, it's been longer, but really has come into focus, has been empathy. Empathy can be developed, and when it is, people, relationships, organizations, and cultures are changed. This is from Carol Dweck of a book called Mindset. And that's where we're going to stay focused. Juliane, Simon, and I, this is where we're going to remain focused from here into the future. We always have been, but really laser focused. Empathy is going to be a topic that we talk a lot about, and today we're going deep, deep into it. And why? What does it matter? What does it mean? What is it about? So I'm going to start with turning it over to Juliane because she has, even though we've talked through some of these things before, I've said to you before, as I've been doing teaching, that these things, they're so intertwined and they're mingled and so deep and there's so much depth and breadth to cover, it's impossible on 30 minutes. So today, Juliane's going to take over with a bit of teaching on some of these topics. And she is going to, well, first of all, we're going to raise the vibe together.
I like that one.
That's what this is all about, right, Simon? Right, Juliane?
Yep, absolutely.
So Juliane's going to start today with touching again on Maslow's 8 hierarchy of needs. And then she's going to move into talking about why is it important to raise your vibration and how all of this fits together. So she's going to start with this slide that I have up right now on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Exactly. So we want to elaborate a little bit on what we already started talking about in episode 7. We were talking about dissatisfaction and how it can be actually a good thing. And at the minute, yes, this Maslow's hierarchy of needs is representing sort of levels of maybe satisfaction and dissatisfaction. So dissatisfaction can be good thing if we don't confuse dissatisfaction with unhappiness. And I personally like to look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs as life in itself. So as we grow up, we build our pyramid, we build it, and we grow and we achieve and we raise our vibes. But then life also sometimes bounces back and we climb down a few ladders, and that happens to everyone in life. It's shown us now in current situations going on globally, that it can happen quite easily, and it's totally normal because that is life. Life is like an ocean, and it's moving all the time, and it's like a wave going up and down, and there are ups and there are downs, and those pyramid ladder scales, they represent it really fantastically, I think. And the vibes, we need to keep them high at all time. to move through better through those ladders and through those waves and those tides of life. So can you put the vibe one? That's the one I'm looking at. If you look at this one, it's the total opposite of the hierarchy of needs. The hierarchy of needs is the pyramid, and this one is like a tunnel, sort of like going down. So the the bottom the bottom one is yeah, a vibration that is not really um, yeah, good for a human being, or for any being to be in and to remain in. Although it's totally natural that sometimes we find ourselves in that contraction and low state of vibration. But then it's so highly important to raise those vibes again, and we can do that. And that's what Lorrie posted with the empathy post. It's something that needs to be developed and individually developed and looked for and harnessed by everyone individually. And we can do, if we focus on ourselves in those times, and try to remain present in situations where, for example, we would outrage. If we can go back to the present moment and just breathe in the situation. Breathe. It's so simple. And I said it the other day already. I said it sounds too simple to be true, and to actually give a solution. But it's a very effective way of coping with trigger moments that maybe trigger past low vibrations, or trigger moments that maybe trigger future low moments. I'm talking about, for example, past trigger moments could be guilt or shame or grief. And those are all low vibrations that are not really good for a human being, and in a vibration that is actually building and creating and building better. So the same is if we go into the future too much, if we worry about things too much and doubt about things too much, then we are also putting ourselves into a position and into a vibration that is not conducive to any growth or any creation. So when we can get more and more aware of those trigger moments that make us feel uncomfortable, if we can get this awareness more straight, then it's easier to go into this present moment. And then all we need to do is, in that moment, maybe breathe. And yeah, there are sometimes tasks that we have to do, and they really demand us in life. They are highly demanding, and we have to do it. But we can, in this moment, that using the present moment is actually creating more order into a mind that is very maybe confused and irritated. So as simple as it sounds, it's very effective, breathing in and actually getting it cleared and getting order back. It's like the closet moment we were talking a few episodes ago, right?
Juliane, share some of the things, if you would, that, and Simon, what are some of the things that you do to help raise your vibe, to help shift your vibration if you're feeling fear or worry or doubt, or some of those lower vibrations that we were talking about,
Yeah,
anger or um,
yeah.
Guilt. What are some of the things that you do, Juliane?
Well, there are two things that I do on a really regular basis, and that is, for instance, every day or nearly every day I do yoga at home. Um, Sometimes in the summer also by the beach, but at the moment at home, and it really brings me to this moment of a presence. And then also, like, yoga is so so good, that you endure in moments that are actually hard, because there are certain postures that you have to do, certain movements that you have to really stick to. And then you're like, oh, I want to give up. I want to give up. No, it's not possible. I cannot do it anymore. But no, you carry on. You carry on. And what are you doing ultimately? You're breathing into the pain. You're feeling it, and pain is also something we can grow from, growing pains, right? So that is something I do, and I love, and do every weekend, basically, hiking excursions here on the island. I mean, we're very fortunate on Tenerife, same as you are in Fuerteventura. Um, but that is something I really love to do, going out into nature and finding, I always call it like,
What does that do for you? Sorry, what does that do for you when you go into nature?
it it grounds me. And talking about grounding, I believe it's something we can all use to find common ground, because there are so many values that everyone has individually, and if we look at the values, what values do we actually share and have in common? What is our common ground? So that's why I actually love going out into nature and reconnect with Mother Earth and ground. And I think you both love grounding, or
Oh, every day, every day. We do the same every day.
yeah.
Simon, how about you? What are some things you do
But
to
both
to regroup, to raise your vibe, to to raise the positive again?
both of those things that you've mentioned, Juliane, they're excellent tools you can use, and I I was actually thinking both those things when you before you said them. I've started to do yoga every day or every other day, and I've found that really it calms me, and it's really good for my. Because I was doing weights before at home here, but also before that I used to go to the gym. But I found that yoga is a better form of exercise for me. It's positive for your body, mind, whereas it can build muscle and all that kind of thing, but it's kind of putting an unnecessary strain on your body at some times, and it's not. I would say that yoga is just as effective for your body, but also it's got that mental element as well that's really positive. But yeah, I love going out into nature. And what I've tried to do recently, because I'm working from home, is like a lot of people, of course, is I try and get out at least every day for a daily walk. But that might be even for half an hour or an hour. And I've just recently switched to trying to get that walk in the middle of the day. So I do a bit of work in the morning, well, after the yoga and that kind of thing, do some work and then go out for a lunchtime walk and then do a bit more work in the evening. And as much not as possible here where I'm living at the moment in the UK, I try to get away from the noise of traffic because I just find cars and traffic and that noise really it's just it's not good for people's mental state. I don't think it's very distracting, and it's I find the peace of being around nature, and I try and take country routes, the back way through the woods, through the park, away from the cars, and then in Norwich city centre where I'm living at the moment, there's lots of streets that are closed off from traffic, which is good. And I think this is a big positive step that a lot of places are taking. They're closing off city centres and streets to cars, and it's being reclaimed for pedestrians and humans to walk, because that's what it should be. Cars, they are necessary for some things, but generally it's good if you can to walk or use public transport or ride a bike, I think.
So those are similar things that I do as well in my day. I have an absolute routine that when I first wake up, I do a little bit of kind of yoga. I do my meditation and my setting my intentions for the day and my gratitude, and I do all of that. And then I get up and I do a little bit of physical exercise. I do my planks. I have a little jungle gym that I do some little bit of workout on, and we go walking. And it just like everything else in your day that has to do with work and business, you schedule it in your day. You book it in, and it's booked in. My time is booked out until I do these particular things, because I know that's setting my day up right. And if for some reason that there's something that must be done first thing in the morning, then we get an evening walk. And in between in the day, I just go step outside. I go outside and I just walk around in the back garden and look up at the sky, or whatever it is I'm doing, or I go out and I do another plank or two, side plank, front plank, just something to move, keep moving. And that shifts, just getting up, walking in, put yourself in another environment, outside, whether it's on your front porch or it's open your window and stick your head out, or whatever it is. If you live in a building that has stairs, take the stairs. If you're in an apartment, instead of hopping on the elevator, whatever it is, just shifting. And if you feel that vibration lowering, be aware of that happening, and just stop whatever it is you're doing and shift it. Or talk to somebody. It's a simple thing to just say, hey, you know what? I got something going on right now. I don't want to sit and just complain, but I want to talk through it. And that's where our mastermind started, the three of us. Offline, we would get together, the three of us, and we would talk through different things that we were working on. And maybe that's what a mastermind is about. It's when you have more than one, you are putting the batteries together. When you put three batteries together, you have far more power than you do with one battery. And so just talking through with someone else, whatever it is that you might be thinking about that's causing some of these feelings, and start out with letting them know, this is where I'm at the moment. This is what's rising up at the moment. I feel it. Set it up that way so that the other person knows that's what you're feeling and experiencing, so they know how to help you move through it and onto something different, better, and find the better solutions. So one of the things that I wanted to share, and I've shared it on my own personal page, is the book that is by Jamal Zakai, and it's Building Empathy in a Fractured World. Simon's going to share the full story, but just briefly, he's a professor and his students, and he put this book together, and it was all around this empathy can be developed, and when it is, people, relationships, organizations, and cultures are changed for the better. So I'm going to let Simon take over from here, because he's quite versed on whoops, he's quite versed on Jamal Zakai, and he's going to share a really lovely story about how this actually came about, how Jamal Zakai came to where he's at writing the book. And
Great, thanks, Lorrie. Yeah, so I've recently watched Jamal's TED Talk, which he did about 3 years ago, and it's called How to Hack Empathy and Get Others to Care More. It's a really interesting talk, which will link in the description or the comments of this video. But basically, previously there was a kind of belief that empathy was some people were born with empathy, or they were empathetic, more empathetic, and then other people they don't have empathy, and it's impossible to acquire empathy. But actually, using his own experience and lots of studies that he's done since then as a professor, he's come to the conclusion, as many others have, that it can definitely be developed. And using his own life experience, or his example of his life, he said that when he was growing, his mum and dad, they met at university. His mum was from South America and is from Pakistan originally, and they met in the US. And they hit it off initially because they came from different places, and that's kind of what drew them together, because they were both immigrants in a foreign land. But over time, after they'd had him, they gradually their cultures and their way of thinking and their mentality in general, it formed a wedge between them and drew them apart. So they split up and went to live separately, and he was kind of living between both of them. So he, through living with both of them, gradually grew to grow empathy over time, because he had to learn how to deal with their different personality types. His dad was most on, you have to get the best grades, and even if you're the second best in the class, then you're a failure. And his mum was much more kind of a Latin culture, as he described it, more exuberant and live and into socializing. So to navigate between the both of them, he would develop empathy to understand them. That's what empathy is really at the core of empathy, is being able to put yourself in another person's position and imagining what it'd be like to be that person, and actually feeling what that person feels, even if you're not in their position. And I think that's super important, as we've been discussing. It's more than important than ever. And unfortunately, through the research these in the last since 1979, the example he uses, up until 2009, was dropping. I'm not sure how that stands now, but undoubtedly it could be dropping. It could have dropped even further up until this point. But as he says, on a positive note, that doesn't mean that's going to continue. It doesn't have to continue along that way. We can change. Something very simple that I've found in my own personal life is, especially now that we're all isolated at home with remote work, with my daily walks that I try to do, I try and go to the local shops now, the independent retailers, the small places, because they're really suffering. And if we going out interacting with people on a daily basis, even if it's just a short little chat in a shop, you can develop that empathy for that person, because you realize how they're happy to see you. They want to serve you because they want their business to continue, and you can see they're struggling, a lot of them. Whereas the big businesses like the Amazons or the supermarket chains or the Walmarts, they don't need your business. They're $1 companies, and they're putting more and more robotics into their systems. So they're kind of cutting jobs. Whereas these small retailers, if you go out and speak to the people, you can really put yourself in their shoes and develop a greater empathy by just talking to people on a daily basis like that in the street or in the shop. Yeah, so I think I'm going to read Jamal's book. That's one of my books I've got on my list, but the TED Talk I definitely recommend. And thank you for recommending him to me, Lorrie. I hadn't heard of his work before.
pretty amazing. He's the work he's done is really amazing. One of the things I'm going to pull back up quickly that I was showing is the two questions that they've done for years in their psychological measure of empathy. The two questions they've been asking is on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being not at all, 5 being fits you perfectly. Question 1 is, I often have tender, concerned feelings for people less fortunate than I am. And the second question is, I try to look at everyone's side of a disagreement before I make a decision. Just those two very simple questions are what they have been measuring the empathy on over all these years. 2009 was the last time that they had this reported, and it's dropped. 75% of people are less empathetic since 1979 to 2009. So this is a huge area that we're going to continue working on and talking about and sharing and helping raise the vibe on 30-Minute Mastermind. This is Lorrie MacGilvray. We're at the end of our time. We've already been through 30 minutes already. Zoom. And wishing you an amazing, amazing week ahead. And we'll be back next Friday.
On common ground, eh? On common ground.
On common ground, absolutely. Absolutely. And raising the vibe.
For everybody that's tuned in, thank you for your comment as well, Tim.
Yes, thank you, Tim. Great to see you here. This is Lorrie MacGilvray, Simon Turkas, and Juliane Nendel for 30-Minute Mastermind. Wishing you an amazing week ahead. Mwah. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.